People in Japan and around the world are marking one of the darkest days in history. 80 years ago today, 8:15 in the morning, August 6, 1949, the United States dropped an atomic bomb on Hiroshima, instantly killing 78,000 people, and thousands more would die in the weeks, months, and years that followed. These scenes from earlier today, the annual ceremony at the Peace Memorial Park. Representatives from 120 countries attended, including the United States. And as they do every year at exactly 8:15 a.m. local time, they observed this moment of silence. Guests then paid respects, placing wreaths and flowers and releasing doves as a call and symbol for peace. This is the moment they are remembering, the archival footage, the moment the bomb was dropped from the Enola Gay, the first time nuclear weapons had been used as a weapon of war. And the city was leveled, about 70% of the city's buildings destroyed. By the end of the year, 1945, the number of deaths had risen to approximately 140,000 due to injury and radiation. That bombing and then 3 days later in Nagasaki marked the end of the Second World War. But the destructive legacy of nuclear weapons continues to this day. And indeed, the threat is talked about increasingly given the ongoing wars around the world. Many survivors warn the horrors could be repeated as the nuclear arms race heats up once again. So as we take some live pictures here, this is the vigil underway, a candlelight vigil, and the lanterns floating in the Motoyasu River, honoring those who lost their lives near that very stretch of water. And it's all taking place in front of what is well known, the A-bomb dome, which was one of the few buildings which survived the blast 80 years ago today. Crystal Gamansing is going to be bringing us details on the commemorations today. She is in London with further information. Crystal, good morning.
Good morning, Heather. Yes, a very poignant ceremony this morning, 8:15 local time. We heard that bell toll and then pure silence surrounding that memorial park with so many individuals there. This is a reminder of the horrific events of 1945, the deadliest single use of a weapon in human history. And as we look at these images of the ceremonies of people coming to the banks of the river and really remembering the atrocities that occurred, there is this heavy weight for many people in the Western Japanese city today, considering the situation we see globally. And so as a part of the commemorations today, many of the speakers, Heather, brought up the fact of concerns about what's going on in the world, concerns about the rhetoric we're hearing. So as these individuals were laying wreaths, and as you mentioned, dignitaries from more than 120 countries in attendance, there was a lot of talk about the concern of what is going on now. And they say it is their responsibility, Japanese Prime Minister is saying, it is their responsibility to remind the world of exactly what happened, the 87,000 people who were killed instantly on August 6, 1945, when that atomic weapon, 4.5 tons of uranium, was dropped from an American bomber, but approved by the Allied forces in what the Americans say was an effort to end the Second World War, Heather.
Survivors continue to warn, Crystal, about the danger of nuclear weapons. They still exist today, and there are renewed calls for disarmament today. What are the messages on this 80th anniversary?
Yeah, not only do those nuclear weapons exist, but they are stronger, more powerful than the ones that we saw dropped back in 1945. There is a real concern about nuclear proliferation. Obviously, many survivors are saying they want to see this situation change. They want to see countries get away from not only the creation of nuclear weapons, weapons, but they're really concerned about the rhetoric, the number of times we talk about threats about nuclear weapons. And if we look at the situation right now, for example, 9 nations have nuclear weapons, but let's look at the number of countries right now that are involved in wars. We have Russia, we have Israel, then we had recent clashes between, Pakistan and India. So there are real fears, and of course, lots of times the ebb and flow of threats around North Korea. So they are really trying to highlight the number of countries that have nuclear weapons, how strong they are today, and the need to not touch them, to get rid of them. However, we did hear, for example, from Ben Wallace, the former defense secretary here in the United Kingdom. He was on the BBC saying you can't undo these inventions, that they are needed for today's world. But he also says there has to be very responsible use and talk when it comes to how these weapons are used, whose hands they are in, and they say that is not the right message. They are trying to push forward non-proliferation using their own example, deadly example, to say that this is not something we need in our world today, Heather.
Crystal, thank you very much. Crystal Gomansing from London.